Most people believe that happiness is a consequence, something that comes after achievement, recognition, security, or success. But modern science and studies of consciousness show something different. Happiness is not the result of what happens outside of you. It arises from the internal state from which you live. Happiness is not constant euphoria. It is not the absence of problems. It is inner balance in motion. The human brain was not designed to be happy all the time. It was designed to survive. That's why it naturally focuses on what's missing, what feels threatening, and what could go wrong. This bias is not a flaw. It's biology. The problem begins when you confuse this mechanism with who you are. When the mind takes total control, the body enters a constant state of alert. Breathing becomes shallow, the nervous system loses balance. In this state, happiness becomes impossible because the body believes it is still unsafe to relax. That's why the first step toward happiness is not positive thinking. It's regulating your internal state. Happiness begins in the body. When you slow your breathing, the brain receives a signal of safety. When the body feels safe, the mind begins to relax. This process is called self-regulation. Happy states are associated with coherence between the heart, the brain, and breathing. This is not philosophy. It's physiology. Happiness emerges when the organism leaves survival mode and enters presence mode. Another essential point: happiness is not about eliminating difficult emotions. Happy people feel sadness, fear, and frustration. The difference is that they don't get lost in these emotions. They observe them, feel them, and let them pass. When you fully identify with every emotion, suffering is prolonged. When you observe without resistance, the cycle naturally comes to an end. This is emotional maturity. Happiness is the ability to remain whole even when life is imperfect. Another common mistake is believing that happiness depends on control. But the more you try to control everything, the more tension you create. Happiness grows when you learn to trust the flow, act with awareness, and let go of what is not within your control. This is not passivity. It is emotional intelligence. You act where you can act and accept where you cannot. In this state, the mind becomes an ally, not an enemy. Happiness is also deeply connected to attention. Whatever you feed internally grows. If your attention lives in the past, you relive pain. If it lives in the future, you live in anxiety. But when attention rests in the present moment, something changes. The present is the only place where happiness can exist because it is the only place where life actually happens. Training happiness is training presence. Small habits make a big difference. Conscious breathing, reducing excess stimulation, listening to the body, practicing real, not forced gratitude. Gratitude is not denying difficulties. It is recognizing that, despite them, life still offers support. In the end, happiness is not something you find. It is something you cultivate. It grows as you know yourself better, regulate your emotions, and live with more presence and less inner conflict. Happiness does not require perfection. It requires alignment. And every time you return to the present moment, breathe with awareness and observe yourself with kindness, you take a real step toward a more stable, more mature, and more authentic happiness.